Hey guys, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a very exciting tier ranking of every single book that I read in the entire year of 2020. And this video is one that I'm pretty excited about because I feel like tier ranking was a pretty popular trend for the year of 2020, and so I thought it would be fun to tier rank every single book that I read this year, and I thought it would be more fun to do this in a video as opposed to just showing you every single book I read this year, because I find that to be just kind of repetitive and boring, and I feel like this will be more fun. But before we do jump into the video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. No matter what 2021 brings, you can spend it creating something meaningful with Skillshare's online classes, because time is what we make of it. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes so that you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. I recently just started taking this class called Silence and Curiosity, a guide to self-reflection and self-discovery, taught by Stephanie, and I feel like this class is really great right now because I feel like there's never a better time to reflect on yourself and reflect on your year than at the end of the year and the beginning of a new one. And this class has been really helpful with teaching me different ways that I can better spend my time in 2021 and improve myself in 2021. But of course, if this class doesn't interest you, they do offer many other classes in creative topics like photography, video editing, animation, illustration, web design. For a limited time, please use the link in my description to get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. And thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video and supporting my channel and the booktube community. So, tier ranking all the books that I read in 2020. This shall be interesting because I read 145 books in the year of 2020. On this tier ranking list, however, I am not including any rereads that I had just because it's already such a daunting list, and my rereads are obviously some of my all-time favorites, so you already know that. But the 6 books that I did reread in 2020, just so you know, of all the books that I read this year, are The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Long Bright River. This one actually came out in 2020 and I read it a second time in 2020. And then Top Secret, The Turn of the Key, Lock Every Door, and Fangirl. And so those are all of my 6 rereads that I had this year. Those are all still all-time favorites of mine, so they won't be included in this tier ranking list, but I'm going to be tier ranking the 139 other books that I read this year. And because it's quite a bit of books and we have quite a lot to go through, I'm going to try to keep my commentary to a minimum. Alright, so before we get started, let me just show you the different tiers that I have for this. So the top one is going to be new all-time favorite, and this is a tier that I'm specifically going to be using for like my top 17 books of the year that I mentioned, I think. So that's going to be about 17 books hopefully in this category. I'll try to limit it to like 20, so I'm not going to put more than 20 in my all-time favorites. And then the next category says it was great, which means this is a book that I absolutely love, would still highly recommend, but it's not necessarily a new all-time favorite for me. And then we have it was fine / not for me, which either means like this was fine, it was like a 3-star, it was, you know, it was fine, or it just wasn't for me, wasn't my thing. And then the next one is disappointed, which this is pretty obvious. You know, I had a lot of really disappointing books this year, so these are books that I was probably really looking forward to and then just kind of felt let down by in some way. And then we have trash, which is also pretty self-explanatory. It was trash. It was garbage. I would not recommend. And then the last category I put in here is nonfiction, because I don't really feel comfortable ranking nonfiction books, and so I thought I would just have a spot where I could put all of the nonfiction books that I read this year and just kind of give you my feedback here, what I thought of them. Alright, so the very first one we're starting with, it's actually a new all-time favorite because that's 11/22/63 by Stephen King. This is probably my favorite Stephen King that I read this year. Really enjoyed it. It really just moved me to tears. It was amazing. And then we have 1922, which this one was fine, I guess. Little Women. See, I already want to put this in new all-time favorite, so I will. Alright, the next one is The Hole, which I really enjoyed this when I first read it, but now I'm having trouble recalling anything about it, so I'm gonna put it in It Was Fine because I don't think it deserves to be quite on the same tier as It Was Great because I know what other books are gonna be going here, so it's not quite on that same level for me. And then we have The Grip of It, which I'm gonna put this in Disappointed just because it wasn't as scary as I wanted it to be. Wanderers is trash. Sorry, I said it. I did a whole reading vlog for this book in January this year and I DNF'd this book like 500 pages into it. It was ridiculous. Ooh, then we have The Good Daughter and I would say it was great. Not quite on the same level as Pretty Girls for me, but still pretty great. And then we have our first nonfiction. This is I'll Be Gone in the Dark and this one's like a true crime nonfiction book. And I really enjoyed this one. I really love it. And no, I have not seen the TV adaptation thing that they've done for it yet, but I would really like to watch that. The Loneliest Girl in the Universe was fine. How to Walk Away was trash. Holy fuck. Dude, I forgot I read that this year. Like, I probably would have put that in my worst of the year, but I don't even remember. January was so long ago. The Weight of the Stars I found to be pretty disappointing. I don't know, it read a lot more like a young adult book to me than I was expecting it to, and I just really thought I would love it because of the astronomy like aspect of it, because I usually love books that are like outer space vibes like that, but it was I don't know, I was pretty disappointed by that one. Sharp Objects, I'm just gonna say it was fine. I know a lot of people really love Sharp Objects, but I feel like it's kind of not for me. Like, it was fun. Dear Wife, I feel like is disappointing because I think it's trying to be way too hard like Gone Girl. White Fragility is a nonfiction book that I read this year. Worst Best Man, I feel like I gotta put this one in It Was Great. I really did enjoy this one. Long Bright River, ugh, new all-time favorite. This is, as I just said, this is like the only book that I've read twice this year. I've read it twice. I don't know what it is about that book. I love it so much. It's probably like the sister relationship and just the vibes. Ooh, The How and the Why. This one is great. This is one of the only young adult books that I highly recommend. It's so good. It's so well written. Ooh, this next one is interesting because it's Get a Life Chloe Brown. I think I'm gonna put Get a Life Chloe Brown and It Was Great. And then over here I have Take a Hint Danny Brown, and I'm gonna put Take a Hint Danny Brown, an all-time favorite, because both of them were 5-star books for me. I absolutely loved Take a Hint Danny Brown. Like, that one was even better to me because I feel like I related even more to Danny's character, and both of those romances were just so refreshing, and definitely some of my favorite romances that I read this year. So, alright, Dr. Sleep was trash. Sorry. Bent Heavens, also trash. Alright, Little Secrets was fine. I really did enjoy this book when I first read it, but this was actually the first book that I read in 2020, so I'm having trouble recalling it now, and I feel like whenever I feel like this about a book, when I'm having trouble even remembering the plot, then that's how I know it was just kind of fine. Felix Ever After. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna put it in new all-time favorite because I adored Felix Ever After so freaking hard. And it's above these other books that are on this It Was Great shelf, so I gotta put Felix up there. It was really good. The Other People was disappointing. Dirty Letters, I don't even remember the full title of this. Is it just Dirty Letters? I don't know. I thought it was pretty disappointing. Hurry Home was fine. The Shadows was great. It wasn't quite like an all-time favorite, but I had a lot of fun with The Shadows and I enjoyed this one so much more than The Whisper Man. Darling Rose Gold was also great. This one like blew my expectations out of the water. I thought it was so intense. A Good Marriage, new all-time favorite. Freaking loved A Good Marriage. I don't know what it was about that book, but it was so out of my comfort zone, but I just loved it so much. Dancing at the Pity Party is going in nonfiction because this one's actually a graphic novel that's a memoir, and holy fuck, this book was beautiful. It made me bawl my eyes out because it's about this girl losing her mom to cancer, and it's like a real story, and wow, it's so stunning. Definitely recommend if you are able to handle that emotionally. Boyfriend Material was fine. Don't have any strong feelings about it. He Started It was great. Loved this one. I read this one when I had the stomach flu this year, and oh my god, it just made my whole day. I just stayed in bed reading this book all day. It was great. The Guest List is a new all-time favorite. I just love The Guest List. I know I'm so basic, but I love it. I love it. The Boyfriend Project was fine. These Women was disappointing, but I think it's because I went into it with false expectations. Happy and You Know It was fine. Big Summer It was fine. One to Watch, I thought One to Watch was pretty great. I really enjoyed it. I think it was because of the fact that I was craving that Bachelorette. You know, we hadn't had the Bachelorette like we were supposed to, and then it got pushed back, and so I was like craving my Bachelorette fix, you know, and then that book just did it for me. It was so fun. Salem's Lot. I'm like wearing my Salem's Lot shirt for this, so it's going in pretty great. I don't love Salem's Lot as much as I love some of Stephen King's other books, but I still had such a fun time reading Salem's Lot this year. And then we have Obama's book, A Promised Land, which is gonna go in nonfiction, but I would probably put this in a new all-time favorite. I really, really enjoyed this one. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is an all-time favorite. You guys already know this is my top 2 books of the year, so no surprises here. Ooh, All Boys Aren't Blue. This is a nonfiction. This one's like a young adult memoir, but this one's also freaking spectacular. 5 stars. Definitely highly recommend that one. Anxious People was great. I really enjoyed Anxious People. It was damn beautiful. It really restored my faith in humanity. Beach Read was disappointing. I don't know why I'm singing now. But Beach Read was my most highly anticipated book of the year. And it just didn't do it for me. It was like a 3-star book. It was fine, but I was so disappointed. I was crushed. I thought this would be an easy 5 stars. Ooh, The Beauty and Breaking is a nonfiction. That was very interesting because it's told from a doctor's, like she's an ER doctor, and she's kind of talking about the challenges of being a woman of color in a job position that is mainly dominated by white men. It was a very, very interesting memoir. Ooh, and then we have Between the World and Me, which is also nonfiction. Definitely recommend this one. This one was so beautiful. And then we have Blinky, which this one was fine. It was really good, but will I remember it in a year? I don't know. Same goes for The Boy in the Woods. These are both like short stories. They're only like maybe like 70 pages or something. And they're both good, like they're fine. They're fine. Ooh, Brother by Anaya Alborn was great. Brother is a book that totally took me off guard because it's a book about a hillbilly family, and they're all serial killers, and it's just crazy. Next is Bunny, which is an all-time favorite. Clap When You Land was great. Clown in a Cornfield was fine. I think I went into that book with false expectations as well because I thought it was going to be more of a supernatural thing, and then it ended up being more of a slasher story, which was fine. I think I just went in with the wrong idea. Crazy Stupid Bromance was disappointing. Credence was trash. Do No Harm was great. I really enjoyed this one. This one's an arc that I got. It's actually not coming out until March, but this one's a thriller that I really enjoyed. It had major Breaking Bad vibes. Don't Look for Me was disappointing, but I think that's just a me thing. I just don't really care for Wendy Walker's writing for some reason. 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson was also disappointing because Peter Swanson is one of my favorite authors, and I didn't love this book the way that I thought I would. Ooh, Fangirl Manga was great. I just recently read this one, and it was so great to be back in the world of Fangirl and to be like seeing it visually in graphic novel form. It was wild. Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey is a nonfiction book that I really, really enjoyed. Ooh, Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson is... I'm debating between great and all-time favorite because this book was really, really good. I think it's gonna go on all-time favorite just because it was so powerful, and this is not a book that I'll be forgetting anytime soon. Heart Bones was great, I think. I don't know. It was good. I feel like I should have a category between it was great and it was fine because there are some books that I think are just good. They're not necessarily great, and that's why I would put that one, but it's fine. It's fine there for now, I guess. Heart-Shaped Box was disappointing. Heartstopper Volume 2 was great. Heartstopper Volume 1 was great. Love those. They're so freaking cute. His and Hers by Alice Feeney was great. Really shocking. I actually really recommend the audiobook for His and Hers. I don't usually recommend audiobooks for thrillers, but that one was superior. Ooh, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager is next, and that is definitely a new all-time favorite. Hood Feminism is a nonfiction book that I really, really enjoyed and I think is really, really relevant and important. House in the Cerulean Sea was fine. / not for me. Probably definitely not for me. I know this is going to be like everyone's like favorite book of the year probably. But it was fine. It was just fine. Alright, next is In the Dream House, and this is another nonfiction book that I think is actually really, really beautiful. It's about an abusive relationship, and It's about abuse in a same-sex relationship, which is very unique. I've never read anything like that book before, so really enjoyed that one. The writing is stunning. Oh my gosh. Next up we have the Inheritance games, which this one I'm gonna put in disappointed because that one is one that I really wanted to love it, but it was so young adult at the end of the day, and I don't think it deserves that comparison to Knives Out. I really don't. Next up is Inside Affair, and this one was fine. Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell was pretty great. I had a great time reading that thriller this year. Kill Creek is a new all-time favorite. Kill Creek was so fucking good. It was everything that I wanted in a horror book. Layla by Colleen Hoover was surprisingly great. I wasn't totally sure about that book at the start of it, but oh my god, where that book went, I could not predict that. It was totally bonkers wild crazy. Leave the World Behind was fine. Loveless was a new all-time favorite. It's not gonna let me go up. Okay, there we go. Loveless, yes. I mean, as I said before, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and Loveless were my top 2 books of 2020. So of course, all-time favorites right there. Mallory by Josh Mallerman was great. I had so much fun reading this book, and I loved being back in the world of Bird Box, and I thought this sequel actually like held up to Bird Box. Like, I don't know, I thought it was really cool. Marriage for One was trash. I'm so sorry. It's just not my thing. It's definitely not my thing. Mexican Gothic. I'm torn between putting it in it was fine or it was great. Like, this is what I mean. I need a category that just says it was good. Because, you know, it's not quite on the same level as up here for me, but it was still better than these ones for me. So I'm just gonna put it in it was great. It's fine. Michigan versus the Boys was fine. Not really my thing. Middle Game was also fine. Not really my thing. The Midnight Library, however, new all-time favorite. Oh my gosh, I love the Midnight Library. I adore it so hard. Monday's Not Coming was great. I feel like I should put it in great because Grown is definitely my favorite from Tiffany D. Jackson now, but Monday's Not Coming is also so freaking beautiful and emotional and just stunning. It's such a great book. My Best Friend's Exorcism was great. Really enjoyed this one. My Dark Vanessa was fine. Never Have I Ever was trash. Night of the Mannequins was great. Really enjoyed Night of the Mannequins. That was some weird shit and I loved it. Night Shift by Stephen King was also surprisingly great. For an anthology, like a collection of short stories, I'm surprised because usually I would find at least a handful of them to be pretty boring, and like I did, but the really good ones actually made up for it and I really enjoyed that one. I still think about that short story Quitters Inc. to this day. That story is just crazy. It's like a Black Mirror episode. Next up is Nosferatu, which this is disappointing. Notes on a Nervous Planet is another nonfiction book that I really enjoyed this year, and he kind of talks about like depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts and just how it is to live on this earth with anxiety, and it was really great. Unlike One by One by Ruth Ware, which was trash. Our Kind of Cruelty was fine. Ooh, Playing Nice. Oh, Playing Nice was so... no, it was better than great. It was a new all-time favorite. I forgot to mention this book in my best books of the year. I should have just mentioned it even as an honorable mention. Like, I loved this book. Definitely one of my favorite thrillers of the year. It was just so thought-provoking and interesting. Oh my gosh, The Roommate is the next one on here, and that was also an all-time favorite because The Roommate... I am garbage for this book, even though I know a lot of people like have their issues with it. You know, it's a romance book and it has like a porn star as one of the love interests, but I loved this book. I'm garbage for this book. It's my guilty pleasure of 2020. Alright, next up is Saturday Night Ghost Club, and unfortunately this one ended up being just fine for me. I wanted to love it so much, especially after that stunning cover. Oh my gosh. Ooh, She Said is another nonfiction book that I really enjoyed. This one talks specifically about the Harvey Weinstein thing that was going on, and this is like a very feminist, amazing nonfiction book. And then we have Shipped, which doesn't actually come out until January 2021, but this was definitely a new all-time favorite for me because Shipped is just one of the cutest hate to love romances that I've ever read. I loved it so much. It's definitely up there for me with like The Hating Game and The Unhoneymooners. I just had the most fun. Ooh, and then we have So You Want to Talk About Race, which is another really good nonfiction book. I didn't realize I had read so many nonfiction books this year. Next, we have Something to Talk About, which was disappointing because I wanted to love it because it's a female-female romance and it was the first one published from Berkeley, and it just ended up being so dry. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires was great. Spoiler alert, was pretty great. Stay Gold was great. Such a Fun Age. I feel like this one was fine. Survivor Song was disappointing. It was also kind of trash. Yeah, I think it was trash. But it was really disappointing. But it was one of the worst books that I read this year, so it was trash. The Swap was... I'm torn between putting it in fine or great. I feel like it's fine because I feel like it was a 3-star book for me. I just expected a little bit more, but I feel like with Robin Harding's books, I always feel the same about them. It's that they start off with the most interesting premise and then they just never go quite where I want them to, and they always just end up being just okay for me. Ooh, next is The Bright Lands, which this is definitely an all-time favorite. And then the next one is The Death of Vivek Oji, which this one's also an all-time favorite. Sorry, we're getting a little crowded over here. But yeah, The Death of Vivek Oji, oh my god, it made me bawl my eyes out. And then we have The Dream Daughter, which is another all-time favorite. Wow, getting a little crowded up in here in the all-time favorite section. That's already 20 bucks in my all-time favorites. Oh well. Alright, The End of Her by Sherry Lapina was disappointing. The End of October was fine. What the heck? How did the Falling in Love montage get in here? I didn't read that one. Ooh. Yeah, so sorry. I'm gonna have to skip that one. I don't know how it ended up in here. I guess I thought I read it this year, but I did not. Okay, the next one is The Girl in the Love Song was disappointing. Happily Ever After Playlist was fine. The Honey Don't List was disappointing. The Hunting Party was fine. The Institute, I actually really enjoyed The Institute, so I'm gonna put it in it was great. And then we have The Long Walk, which I actually found this one to be pretty disappointing. Even though I know a lot of Stephen King fans really love The Long Walk, I don't know, I couldn't click with it. And then we have The Mothers by Britt Bennett, which this one is great. This one is great. Oh my gosh, and then we have The Nesting, which this is one of my favorite books of the year, so of course it's got to go in all-time favorite. And then we have The Night Swim, which it's not a new all-time favorite, but it was pretty great. And then same with The Nothing Man. The Nothing Man was great. And then The Only Good Indians was fine. Alright, next is The Other Woman, which this is trash. I'm so sorry, but oh my god, I could not stand that book. And then we have The Patient by Jasper Dewitt. And this one's gotta go down as an all-time favorite. I absolutely loved The Patient. Oh my god, scariest book that I read in 2020. Like, it was terrifying. And then we have The Troop, which is obviously an all-time favorite. It's going up there. It's like in my top 3 all-time favorites of the year. And then we have The Vanishing Half, which was great. The Vanishing Half was really great. I think I did enjoy The Vanishing Half slightly more than The Mothers, but they were both really great. And then next we have The Voting Booth, which this one I would also put in it was great. They Never Learn. Oh my god, I love this book. Okay, this one's going in all-time favorite too. I'm sorry. I know I said I'd only do 20, but it's too late for that. They Never Learn was just too iconic. It was like the most bad bitch vibes I've ever seen. Tweet Cute was fine. Undercover Bromance was also fine. I think I did enjoy this book more than a lot of other people did, I think, but it was still fine. What Lies Between Us was great. And then we have When No One Is Watching, which I would put this one was fine. It didn't quite live up to my expectations. It had quite a bit of slow moments in this book, but I definitely appreciate what this book was trying to do. Winter Counts was great. Wonderland was trash. Ooh, and then Written in the Stars. Oh, okay, this one's going in all-time favorites. Like, I'm sorry, but it must. It's definitely one of my favorite female romances that I've ever read, and this book got me through a really hard week, so I am forever grateful to this book. And then we had You Had Me at Ola, which was disappointing. Ooh, You See Me in a Crown was great. Loved it. This was also one of my favorite young adult books of the year that really surprised me, and it's female romance, and it's so cute. And then lastly I have You Are Not Alone, which was disappointing. I wanted to love that book so much, and it just did not live up to my expectations. Alright, so there we have it. These are all of the books that I read in the year of 2020, with the exception of my rereads. But, you know, I've got to say, I'm surprised that I had so many nonfiction books. I didn't think I read that much nonfiction this year. I'm also pretty surprised that I had such a huge amount of books that were in my section of it was great and it was fine. But I am pretty excited that the disappointed and trash tiers are pretty slim. Like they're the smallest ones here, which I appreciate. That's great. It means I had a really great reading year. All-time favorites up here are just like, these are all my god tiers, you know? These are the books that I would recommend the most, that I read in 2020, that I enjoyed the most personally, and I just had a really great time reading them. Alright, so that was the tier ranking of every single book that I read in the year of 2020. Let me know if anything surprised you, I guess, about this video. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know most of my taste on books by now, so it's probably not anything too shocking. But yeah, let me know if you read any of these books. What are your thoughts on them? Are some of my all-time favorites also some of your all-time favorites? And if not, what were some of your all-time favorite new books that you read for the first time in 2020? And thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you very soon with a new video.